trumpets. God could have picked anything else. Staves. I don't know. But trumpets. Because they were used in the Old Testament for worship and warfare. And we'll probably have only time to do one of the two to look at those, but we will pick it up next week with the other. But let me get to one of them. Let's look at the call to worship. And this goes all the way back to Exodus chapter 19. We're always going back to the front of the Bible again. Do you think that that's a coincidence, anyone? No. What am I about to tell you about that? If you want to understand the book of Revelation, what? You got to read the front part. Because otherwise you get these wild-eyed ideas. You make it believe anything you want it to believe. But if you want to be faithful to the story of salvation, of which the book of Revelation is pointing and recapitulating, you've got to look back in the Old Testament. Where were trumpets used and for what? Well, Revelation 19, verse 13. Exodus. This is the covenant call, because Exodus 19, verses 4 and 5 says, verse 5 says, "Now therefore, if you'll obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my own possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel." So this is the great call, vocational call of Israel, of all the Jews that came out of Egypt, to be God's priestly, kingly people for the whole world. And he's bringing them to Mount Sinai to seal the covenant. And what happens? Verse 13. Well, go to verse 12. "You shall set bounds for the people round about, saying, take heed that you do not go up to the mountain or touch the border of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall be put to death. No hand shall touch him, but he shall be stoned or shot. Whether beast or man, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds," did you hear that? "A long blast, they shall come up to the mountain." So trumpets were first used to say, hello, come to meet God now.
My Bible says ram's horn.
Yeah, my
Shofar. The shofar, the trumpet, yes, same idea. Okay. Leviticus 23. So you're in Exodus, just go over to the next book. Leviticus 23 through 25. If you have my Bible, you will see a little top note. What does it say?
The Feast of Trumpets.
The Feast of Trumpets. There was a whole Feast of Trumpets that God instituted. And what happens? Verse 23. "The Lord said to Moses, say to the sons of Israel, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a day of solemn rest, a memorial proclaimed with a blast of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no laborious work, and you shall present an offering by fire to the Lord." That's your Feast of Trumpets. It says, rest and worship God. It's a call to worship and rest. Got it? Mm-hmm. Numbers chapter 10. You're in Leviticus, go to the next book. This is very key. We're not going to read the whole chapter, but I'm going to get you through the first 3 verses.
Chapter 10.
Chapter 10 of the book of Numbers. The Lord said to Moses, "Make 2 silver trumpets. Of hammered work you shall make them, and you shall use them for summoning the congregation." Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. And for breaking camp. So it's like we got announcements, and it's time to go. But in other words, it's a word up sign. Word up, people. I got some news. Or, word up, we're heading out. Got it? And when both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves to you at the entrance of the tent of meeting. But if they blow only once, then the leaders, the heads of the tribes of Israel, shall gather themselves together. And on and on and on. I'm not going to go through this whole chapter. But the point is, the primary use of trumpets, as it was in Israel, was to summon the congregation. Primarily for worship. The Feast of Trumpets, to gather before God, to hear the announcements of the leaders. Got it? 2 Chronicles 5. Keep going towards the back of the Bible. 2 Chronicles 5. Page 321 if you have my Bible. 2 Chronicles 5. We're going to look at verses 11 through 13. This is when the Ark of the Covenant is being processed into the temple that Solomon has built. Verse 11, now when the priests came out of the holy place, for all the priests who were present had sanctified themselves without regard to their divisions, and all the Levitical singers, Asaph, Heman, Jeduthun, their sons and kinsmen, arrayed in fine linen with cymbals, harps, lyres, stood east of the altar with 120 priests who were trumpeters. 120 priests who were trumpeters. Ah. And what did they do? And it was the duty of the trumpeters and the singers to make themselves heard in unison in praise and thanksgiving to the Lord. And when the song was raised with trumpets and cymbals and other musical instruments in praise to the Lord, for he is good and his mercy endures forever, the house of the Lord was filled with the cloud. You see, this song that they were trumpeting in dedication to the temple brought the glory of the Lord into the temple. So much so that the priests could not stand to minister because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord filled the house of God. These trumpets were used to worship and call others into worship of God.
In the book of Revelation, it brings wrath.
Ah, we're getting to that. We're getting to that. But we can't understand why until we get behind what's the symbols. So we've got to see this first before you understand the second. Because like I said, these angels could have held flowers or animals or staves or feathers or coins. Why did he pick trumpets? There's got to be a reason. And what I'm doing is, I'm showing you that there is an Old Testament significance to the use of trumpets and what they mean and what they do. And by understanding that, you're going to better understand the judgments that fall on the earth.
So he trained us with the trumpet since the beginning.
Yes.
And
Yes!
when he takes us to the end, it's only logical he uses the trumpet.
Exactly. That's it. Now you're getting it. God has been training human beings since Adam and Eve to be in communion with Him again. And everything that we've learned in our study of the Bible last year is all training and preparation to meet God at the end. It always has been that way. Always. That's why you can't just read the book of Revelation and get swept up into all of the drama without understanding what's the meaning behind it. Otherwise, again, you can make it say whatever you want. And the crazier the ideas, the better almost. Aliens and UFOs and, it's out there. The Catholic Church is the whore of Babylon. Right? See? You've got to understand this Old Testament significance, otherwise you can get it to say whatever you want. And unfortunately, I've kept you longer than I should. So we will continue with the significance of trumpets. I'll see you next week.